The philosophy was style through naturalism. In terms of naturalistic lighting. And that begins with Memento. You know, Insomnia, with the light being a character. Batman, with us trying to recreate the style of a comic book film. And then certainly Inception with diving, you know, in and out of dreams. I lean towards that naturalistic style, but with some mood to it. So that was the philosophy.
Good God, what have you done?
I was finishing my last year of in the cinematography program at AFI, and I had met Janusz Kaminski through a mutual friend, and he was working as a gaffer and second unit DP on these small Corman films that Phedon Papamichael was shooting.
What are you? I'm not even human.
Roger, of course, was titled King of the B movies, just cranking movies out. And so I kind of fell into it that way. Janusz brought me in, and I met Phedon, and I ended up shooting second unit for Slumber Party Massacre Part 3.
My neighbor called. What neighbor? This guy that lives across the street.
Another weird guy?
Yeah.
And we're shooting this on a, here we go getting technical, it was an Arri 2C. I was practicing, learning my craft, you know. You got to do your time before you're going to do anything decent. You know, after the two Corman films that I did these super low budget, straight to video exploitation films. I honestly was feeling really like I wasn't getting anywhere. I felt like I was spinning my wheels. I'm burned out. I decided to start turning down some of these films. And Phedon came to me. He had been working with John Turteltaub, and they did Cool Runnings together.
Feel the rhythm. Feel the rhyme. Get on up. It's bobsled time.
Killed at the box office. And then they pulled me in for 2 movies and asked me if I wanted to operate for him on these films. But what happened was I got this little indie to do based on the fact that I was doing high-end big studio features. As luck would have it, it got accepted at Sundance. Chris Nolan had seen that film that year. He was there with Following. And it was about a year later that he remembered me and reached out to me for Memento. So lo and behold, you know, I got the gig.
Oh, I'm chasing this guy. No, he's chasing me.
What Chris had liked about my style was it kind of went along with his aesthetic, which was it was a very naturalistic style. It's the simplicity and the very minimal approach to lighting. Strangely enough, I think what a great value of what I brought to that film was I had all these years in low-budget filmmaking. So I could make it look pretty good, but I could do it damn fast. So we could be spontaneous with ideas. We could, you know, I lit stuff fast. So that wasn't dragging things down. He would have time to work with performances.
She's gone. And the present is trivia, which I scribbled down as f***ing notes.
Come on, try and relax.
The collaboration really, really worked. And again, we carried that over very nicely into the next film, Insomnia.
Where is she, Finch?
Calm down now. I got everything under control. You and I share a secret. We know how easy it is to kill somebody.
The essence of it for me, from a visual standpoint, was the light of day that he could not escape.
So when does it get dark around here?
It doesn't. Not this time of year.
You know, it was obviously a metaphor for this guilt that he had for a crime that he had committed that he couldn't escape either. But it was also this menacing thing that was constantly present. And I had one of my best early collaborations with a movie star, you know, Al Pacino. There's a scene where Al goes into this young man's house and he's kind of searching around. He's looking for this evidence to try to get it before the police get there. And then he hears, while he's searching, the police coming into the house. And, you know, again, wanting this element of light to constantly be piercing and part of the story, you know, I decided to put this really, really bright xenon type light coming through the window of the bathroom. So it's very dark in there and it's very moody, except for this one shaft of crisp light coming through the window. And so I went up to Al and I said, look, I just want to, you know, give you a little bit of an idea of what I'm doing here, which is I've got this super bright light in the room. So when you're trying to hide from these other people, you're going to get hit by this burning light, just so you know. And not that I wanted to guide or affect his performance, but I wanted him to be able to use it. You know, Al's like, got it.
Turn the blades over.
But I just felt like it's a moment where performance and lighting come together so, you know, organically. And in particular, when the light is such a strong part of the narrative, it really kind of helps take it to the next level. And that's what we were trying to do.
Are you watching closely?
I don't know what you've done. But you're not afraid to get your hands dirty anymore, are you?
No, not anymore.
And when we did The Prestige, coming after a Batman movie, and you know, Chris wanted to do things a lot looser.
So, this is the great Denton.
He wanted to much more handheld camera. And we shot probably about 85% of The Prestige handheld.
Hold out other hand.
What's conducting the electricity?
Our bodies, Mr. Angier, are quite capable of conducting and indeed producing energy.
Interesting workshop.
Yeah, we make do.
My name is Olivia West.
Yeah, I know who you are. You here to steal the rest of my show?
No, I'm here to give your show what it's missing.
You don't know if the camera's on you, if it's on somebody else. It's a messy way of filming, and I think, for me, my favorite way. You know, when there's a little bit too much order, I really want to kick against that.
He's a no-talent magician, and they're calling him the bloody best in England. And all that we know is he uses a trapdoor. Ah, brilliant. What is going on under that stage? Ah, why can't you outthink him?
And the style and the lighting, for me, it was all about the firelight, you know, and this wonderful orange firelight. And so there are times when we use real lanterns and, you know, as the sources, lighting sources. And then we built a bunch of lighting instruments in that same color temperature that augmented the firelight.
You don't really want to work it out. You want to be fooled.
Leading up to Dark Knight, you know, Chris sort of concocted this idea that we should try to shoot, you know, a portion of Dark Knight on IMAX, and he brought it up to me early on. But so we started looking into, you know, the functionality and the potential of shooting IMAX for narrative feature film for the first time. And the fact that it was this large format, immersive experience. no place to hide lights. You know, you're dealing with this massive frame. You're dealing with more shallow depth of field.
Come on, I want you to do it, I want you to do it, come on.
And field of focus is very different and more challenging. And later on,
Gotham, take control of your city.
when we did Dark Knight Rises, we actually had a special lens built. So we kind of started revolutionizing lenses for IMAX with that one. It was a T2 50 millimeter IMAX lens, which really made it useful for us for night exterior work.
Light it up. Impossible.
But, you know, what's interesting, we didn't shoot IMAX on Inception.
My question is, what happens when you start messing with the physics of it all?
It's just too lengthy and bulky to make it around corners and to be nimble with it. And we did a lot of nimble handheld camera work in Inception. Let's say Joseph Gordon-Levitt in the rotating hallway. You know, Chris comes up with this idea of this zero-G effect in the hallway, and its execution requires sort of us figuring out how it is we want to see it on the screen. So, you know, the conversations were more about, okay, how much are you going to use sort of the camera mounted to the floor that we dollied along as it's rotating, and how much are we going to be on an arm that's free of the floor. From the lighting standpoint, it had to, again, be practical lighting built into the set that sort of lit all the action in a way that the camera could go anywhere it wanted to. So all the work that goes into determining how this is going to be photographed happens, you know, in pre-production. That was my fourth nomination, and then I won for Best Cinematography on that.
This Oscar goes to Wally Pfister for Inception.
So I was really, you know, stoked, and yeah, it was a game changer. It changed my life. It really did. It made me realize that I was sort of getting tired of being a cinematographer too, which is really takes us up to the present. Directing TV commercials. I light the sets myself, and then I'm directing, but I hire a camera operator so I can spend time with the agency and with the actors and setting things up. But I still light the sets, because that comes sort of easy to me.
This great city, it will endure.